Samma Sambuddhu Saranai. Let us commence the Dhamma sermon coordinated by the Buddhist TV. Today's Dhamma sermon will be delivered by the Most Venerable Waligepola Seelawansha Thero. Let us most reverently welcome the Venerable Waligepola Seelawansha Thero with respect. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Today, Dayakatvaya for Dhamma Deshana, Bandar N. Bhadra Senaviratna, Maya N. Neville Senaviratna, Sun N. Mark Senaviratna. Now let us respectfully invite the Venerable Waligepola Seelawansha Thero to deliver the Dhamma sermon to us all. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Samantha Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammang Munirajasa Sunantu Sagga Mokkadang Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Badantha Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Badantha Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Badantha Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Sabba Papassa Akaranang Kusalassa Upasampada Sachitta Pariyodapanam Etang Buddhana Sasananti. Dear devotees, dear friends, sponsorship of this sermon is Bandara and Bhadra Senaviratna, Maya and Neil Senaviratna, Sun and Mark Senaviratna. To expose the message of the Buddha, having objective to transfer of merits to the beloved departed parents of Bandara and Bhadra Senaviratna and to all departed relatives of both, and also all departed relatives, to all friends sacrifice their lives for peace in Sri Lanka, all departed members of the Mahasangha. I think he has mentioned his objective very clearly. I have selected one of the gathas or verses included in Dhammapada to preach today's sermon. So therefore, I think you might have heard about the Dhammapada as regarded as the handbook of the Buddhist, and also this Gata is included about the Dhamma path or Eightfold Path or Middle Path taught by the Buddha very briefly. So therefore I like to give the meaning of this Gata first. Sabba Papassa Karanam, not to do bad or unwholesome actions. Kusalassa Upasampada, to do good or wholesome actions. Sachitta Pariyodapanam, to purify the mind. Etam Buddhana Sasanam, this is the admonition or advice of the Buddha. I think this Gata is very important, and it is included the whole path exposed by the Buddha. The first line denotes the moral conduct should be followed by the Buddha, by the Buddhist. And second line of the Gata denotes the value of value of developing the mindfulness, that is known as samadhi. And third line denotes the value of developing insight or wisdom. So this is etam buddhana sasanam, this is the admonition of the Buddha in comparison with the other teachers in India. So therefore, parallelly, I think when we talk about the other teachers, they have taught Dhamma but very halfly done it, because their teachings were inclined to or trended to self-mortification or self-indulgence. But for the first time, the Buddha only exposed his message, the value of development of middle path, and also how it should be followed by the Buddhists in their practical life. So today, on the whole, I like to give a topic also when I am explaining the meaning of this Gata and how, when I am interpreting the meaning of Gata, which are included in this valuable verse, or Gata or stanza. How to release our mind from the worldliness. Now, first of all, we should understand that what is the meaning of worldliness. Now, usually, worldling in English, in Pali word, putujjana, means those who are base and also having very base ideas, and also inclined to only to enjoyment of sensual pleasures in the world. They are wishing to enjoy unlimited sensual pleasures in the world, and also they are creating some disputes and problems in this world among the human beings, and also doing some bad deeds, and bodily, verbally, and mentally. And according to Buddhist references, they are doing all the unwholesome actions because of the lack of right understanding, or sammaditthi, taught in Buddhism. They do not believe in previous birth. They do not believe in karmic effects. They don't believe in next birth or rebirth taught by the Buddha. Now basically, because of refusing these good views or right views taught by the Buddha, I think they have created many base or abnormal deeds as the human beings. They are completely, entirely opposing to the mankind and humanities. Usually, we must be able to understand that when we have become human beings, simultaneously we have been developing in the previous births humanities. As the result of developing humanities in the past, in the previous birth, we have become human beings in the present life. After becoming human beings, we are bound to practice humanities. Now, many people do not know why we have become human beings. So if we pose question, they would not answer a direct answer, give a direct answer. So therefore, actually, according to my understanding, they must give answer as we have become human beings as the result of preventing or avoiding or abstinence from doing bad, unwholesome actions in the previous birth. When they were living in previous births, myriads of births in the past, they had avoided or abstained from doing bad, unwholesome actions. So those who have abstained from unwholesome actions, they are having some privileges as the human beings in comparison with some other living beings in the world like animals. Actually, what are the privileges cultivated by human beings? I think the power of memory and remembrance, and also power of recollection, what had happened in our lives in the previous birth. I think although they are not understood according to higher visions attained by some Buddhas and some other saints, but however inferentially they can understand, if we are possible to live in the present birth very pleasantly and very happily, they can infer definitely they have done good deeds, bodily, verbally and mentally in previous birth. Therefore, they are having very good memory. And also they are having power of recollection. That is one of the very, very significant privilege attained or received by the human being, by a human being. And also they can understand what would happen in the future, in this present birth and also in the next birth also. Inferentially they can understand when they have done and now they are doing good deeds in the present life also, definitely they will not be born as in miserable conditions, as animals and some other miserable births. Actually, that is confirmation is very important psychologically, because when they have confirmed, I will not be born as miserable condition, and also I will not happen to lead my life in the present birth also unpleasantly. This confirmation is psychologically very important, because it paves the way to lead happy and peaceful life. Actually, these kinds of privileges, among those privileges, actually the power of retention is also very important. Now today, human beings, if their lives is led mindfully, these privileges could be enjoyed by them. So therefore, in this Gata, it is very, very important to prevent from wrong views. First of all, we must have cultivated right views in our life. So that is the first step to release the mind from the worldliness. Those who have understood the noble teachings of the Buddha, after having associated with the Buddhas, if they are living today, but unfortunately the Buddhas are not living today, but those who have understood the message of the Buddha, they can associate or make union with them and try to understand very rightly and correctly the path leading to Nibbana, and also should lead their life mindfully. And also whatever they have understood should put them into practice. Now these are very important to become Sotapanna also. Now I gave a topic as how to get rid of or release the mind from the worldliness. I think I like to explain and interpret according to, with reference to some Buddhist texts about the Putujjana. Now today, many Buddhists have misunderstood that some may be Putujjanas, they can do any vice negligently sometimes, but I don't believe in it. I don't agree to that point because all the Putujjanas are regarded worldlings. They are having very ignoble and also very ferocious and also some very bad thoughts cultivated in their mind, and they are always creating some disputes and problems among the human beings. So therefore, when one becomes a Buddhist, really, they must have got rid of some bad thoughts cultivated by them when they were as animals in the previous birth. With reference to some suttas, I like to give you another very valuable sutta included in Samyutta Nikaya, Kindred Sayings, Muddutara Sutta. With reference to that sutta, I think one hasn't developed saddha, faithfulness, virya, endeavor or effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, and panya, wisdom, in minimum level. Although they haven't developed basic thoughts regarding these 5 factors, actually they are regarded as Putujjana. They belong to some heretics. They are having heretical ideas. They cannot be regarded as the Buddhist. So therefore, worldling here means those who are having very lower level ideas. We must get rid of this worldliness as the initiative step. And secondly, he must observe very valuable teachings of the Buddha or some precepts, or observing moral principles taught by the Buddha, especially in Buddhism, in Buddhist path, the Panchasila, 5 precepts. I think I like to pay you attention about the nature of the human being. Every human being is having characteristics closer to the humanities. If they are lacking these humanities, they cannot be regarded as human beings. I think I like to the source or origination of these humanities. The origination of these humanities are abstinence from doing bad. Now, after abstain from doing bad, he must further develop some other qualities also. But all the humanities or humane qualities have been originated from loving kindness. It is known in Pali language as metta, compassion, karuna, mudita, altruistic joy, and upekka, equanimity. I think these sublime qualities taught in Buddhism are the sources or origination of all the humanities remaining in the mankind. So therefore, in Panchasila, abstinence from these 5-fold vices, unwholesome actions are very, very important, and also they can develop further some other moral conduct taught by the Buddha. So after developing these moral conduct or moralities, moral principles taught by the Buddha, I think it can be compared and it can be developed after developing some donations also. Now dana, it is known as dana, giving. Practice of giving also added, compared with the sila, moral conduct, moral principles. I think more when one is following these moral principles are never violate some immoral actions like killing, stealing, telling lies, and some other bodily, verbally, and mentally doing unwholesome actions or akusala taught in Buddhism. I think generally, theoretically, we must be able to understand that one who is inclined to give one's comforts for the betterment, welfare, and benefit of the others unconditionally. Usually he is not violating the immoral actions, immoral deeds practiced by some other putujjanas. So therefore here, when we want to release the mind from the worldliness, it is compulsory to practice donations or giving, dana. So when one is practicing donations or dana, I think he is always leading very simple and plain life. He can mold his life in simple manner and plain manner. Because leading simple and plain life, he is also wishing to donate whatever he earns or makes as money, wealth, and some properties for the benefit of others, welfare of others. Now, some people in this world, they are very rich, very wealthy, and also having a lot of money and wealth, but however does not give even a little for the betterment of the others. That is very bad, because when they are practicing some misery, I think taught in Buddhism, without giving even a little bit for the benefit of others, usually their mind becomes in lower level, very lower level. He becomes very selfish and also egoistic. He is always creating some problems, creating some disputes, creating some quarrels, and sometimes in the present also we can see how some nations are waging war against the mankind or humanities in this world to empower, to develop their power and also privileges, and also to expand their territories. And all these unwholesome deeds are because of not practicing giving generously for the betterment of others. So therefore, if anybody wants to get rid of this cycle of birth, recurrent cycle of birth or worldliness, definitely should practice giving or dana, whatever earned by him, and also leading very simple and plain life, and whatever earned much should be inserted for the betterment of others generously. That is real mankind. So if anybody wants to release the mind from this misery, usually he is known as philanthropist. There are many philanthropists belonging to Buddhist communities as well as the general communities in the all over the world. So therefore, practice of giving is combined with developing moral principles taught by the Buddha. So that's why in many Buddhist sources, after explaining about the dana or giving or donations, actually thereafter the value of conducting or following or observing moral conduct, moral principles taught by the Buddha, at least the Panchasila, 5 precepts. So therefore, this is the preliminary path leading to attain Nibbana, release in the mind worldliness. So when we are talking about the releasing the mind from the worldliness, I think we must use our earns and other benefits earned by us by effort, and also doing rightful deeds, rightful actions. I think in Pali language, dhammika, rightful actions, he must dedicate their whole life and valuable time, and also their labor, and also their expertise knowledge for the benefit of others. Then only he is possible to observe certain conduct of moral principles taught by the Buddha. Both of them are combined together. And therefore, here I am explaining about the first line of this Gata. That is very important. All the human beings should bound to follow the principles to mankind in this world. On the other hand, when you are talking about the mankind, they definitely should not be bound to some religious principles. I think religiosity, religiousness is quite different from human principles pertaining to human beings. Now, religiousness here means, or religiosity here means, some religious performances, I think included in some respective religions. Buddhism are having religious principles, religious rites and religious performances. They are very meaningful. They cannot be regarded as rituals. But when we observe very carefully, some religious performances, some religious ritual, they have become some religious rituals. Actually, they are appealing to some unseen being, sometimes the celestial beings, neglecting the saddha, or I think self-confidence. Now, we must believe in self-confidence or saddha. What are the potentialities included in our life? Since long period of time, not only in this present birth, but also in the previous birth also, we have been developing some good, very wholesome potentialities. When you are talking about the personality, I think our potentials is the power of kusala. Having done and doing some wholesome actions in the present birth, and also done in the previous birth also. So they must verify them in the present birth. And also in the verification of those potentialities, the powers developed by us in the past, we must be very mindful and associate with the good communities, good friends, that is needed to verify all the potentialities developed in the past and how they are developing in the present. Actually here, when we consider about the humanities, I think loving kindness is very important. I think second line of this Gata is included about the kusalassa upasampada, to do good, to do wholesome actions, kusala. What are the kusala? They are very important because kusala is pertaining to humanities or mankind, human beings only. The other living beings in this world, they are not in a position to collect kusala because their life is very monotonous. Now regarding the celestial beings, they are living in the heavens, sixfold heavens taught in Buddhist sources, but however their upliftment is dependent on transference of merits of the human beings or transferred merits given by the human beings. A human life is very short. They can enjoy the span of human life very short time, but it is very important to understand in the sorrowfulness, impermanence, sorrowfulness, and insubstantiality. I think anicca, dukkha, anatta, when we are observing ourselves, our life, our fathom-long body, we can very clearly understand how our life is changing very rapidly. Changing very rapidly. It is similar to a flowing river. It is similar to a flowing river. It is changing very rapidly. So if one observes one's own life, own body, and also own mind, how they are changing very rapidly, actually that is enough to understand the reality of life. That is the value of developing wholesome thoughts, kusala. I think with reference to some suttas, especially in Anguttara Nikaya, Metta Sutta, in the book of protection, they have added some 11 qualities taught by the Buddha after developing metta, loving kindness. Actually, those 11-fold good results after practicing metta are very important. But however, first of all, we must be able to understand how to cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness as a good quality, and compassion, karuna, and also altruistic joy, mudita, and upekka, equanimity. Already I have told you, preach you that if any human being is possible to make money, earn anything, wealth and other properties, regarding or wishing to help the others, not to collect money, not to deposit. We must deposit some money for our own protection. When we become sick, sometimes actually that is very rightful. But however, unnecessary if anybody deposit money and collect money without wishing to give anything for the betterment of the others, he cannot develop loving kindness, especially. He cannot develop metta. He is not having generous ideas. So therefore, the only path, only way to develop the metta, loving kindness, is to minimizing the enjoyment of sensual pleasures. Now, any human being can, no prohibition, can enjoy sensual pleasures, enjoyable sensual pleasures, no prohibition taught in Buddhism. I remember one of the quotations included in Alagadupam Sutta, Appassada kama vutta bhagavata bahudukka bahupayasa. When one is enjoying these sensual pleasures, simultaneously or parallelly, he must understand that all the sensual enjoyments enjoyed by us are impermanent and bring in sorrow and also soulless, insubstantial. There is no prohibition to enjoy. Now, when the youth are listening to this sermon, actually they may misunderstand that there is a prohibition to enjoy sensual pleasures. No rigorous practices taught in Buddhism. So, avoiding from rigorous practices, I think in some ethical, some religious principles during the advent of the Buddha, they practice. Even the Prince Siddhartha also practiced some rigorous practices, self-mortification. But no rigorous practices. Any youth can enjoy sensual pleasures, but rightfully. If he enjoys sensual pleasures unrightfully, that is not approved in Buddhism. So therefore, rightful enjoyment paves the way to understanding the ethical principles taught by the Buddha. So therefore, right understanding or rightfully earned wealth should be enjoyed. And also when anybody is enjoying these sensual pleasures, he himself understands they are insubstantial. In Pali language, the word is asara. In comparison with some other sublime qualities developed by celestial beings and some Brahmas. In Brahma Loka, I think you might have heard about Brahmas and those who are living in Brahma spheres. Actually, those who are living in Brahma spheres, they are not quarreling to distribute sensual pleasures because they have already given up sensual pleasures, understanding their futilities. So therefore, anybody can pose a question. What is that question? Remaining as a human being, how can we give up these unlimited enjoyable sensual pleasures? Remaining as a human being, actually there is an answer. Although we are having material body, if we are possible to maintain this material body without harming the others, without interference of the activities of the others, without interfering the comforts enjoyed by the others, that is the path, that is the way to remaining as a human being to develop these noble qualities, sublime qualities taught by the Buddha. I think such people can be seen in this world. Although they are enjoying their sensual pleasures, they are preventing, they are avoiding from doing bad. Therefore, they can develop the noble qualities like metta, loving kindness, and some other compassionate thoughts. When we are seeing some miserable living beings, especially in Sri Lanka and some other countries, underdeveloped countries, many are leading their life hand-to-mouth life, very poor. They are not provided with substantial meal a day, a nutritious meal. It is the duty of the Sri Lankans who are living in abroad to provide these kinds of food, shelter, cloth, and also medicine to Sri Lanka and as well as in some underdeveloped countries regarding them as human beings. Now this is the path or way leading to development of metta. So that's why I told you frequently in this sermon that as a human being, we must give up unlimited or excessive enjoyment of sensual pleasures. Then only we can get rid of or release from the worldliness. So releasing from the worldliness should be practiced step by step. So therefore here, development of metta is the only solution to release from the worldliness. So when we are released the worldliness, we are introduced as sotapannas. We have entered to the path leading to Nibbana like a stream of water flowing to the downside. Similarly, when he is entered to the right path, he can develop further the other spiritual qualities taught by the Buddha, included in the middle path or eightfold path. So therefore, metta, development of the metta is very important. Generously giving and giving up one's comfort for the betterment of the others unconditionally. That is the psychologically very important point. Unconditionally. Unconditionally means without wishing to regain anything from the recipients. That is very important point taught in Buddhism, actually without wishing to regain anything from the recipients. That is the real mankind. That is the real development of humanities. I think we can see all over the world some human beings. They are not belonging to any religion. Now some may misunderstand that the value of enunciating the Buddhist. We should not talk about the religious name. But when we consider, when we develop the humanities, they are real Buddhist. All over the world, I have seen in some other developed countries, when they are asked what was their religions, actually they denied. But however, they had told me that their religion was the mankind or development of the humanities. They are very having empathy. I think you understand what is the meaning of empathy. They are thinking that if they happen to lead miserable life so as the others, comparison is very important. To understanding development of or expanding the loving kindness and the other spiritual qualities towards the other, all the living beings, including especially the human beings, disregarding caste, creed, race, or any other social distinctions. I think regarding the social distinctions is very base and very abnormal and ignoble. They should be retarded. Actually, those qualities should be evaded. Because always when we are helping regarding all humanities without those social distinctions is the path leading to expanding the metta. Whenever anybody is expanding the metta boundlessly, I think there is very important point taught in some sutta. Now recently I have read one sutta included in Anguttara Nikaya. Its name is Karajakaya Sutta. I think my dear followers, audience can write down the name Karajakaya Sutta. It is very clearly included that if anybody is got rid of all the, bad thoughts, or if anybody expand the loving kindness towards all the living beings boundlessly, the bad deeds and bad results of bad deeds done in the previous could be erased or evaded. I think many pose a question, what would happen to the bad deeds, bodily, verbally and mentally done in the past? Should we enjoy them? Should we always experience their bad results in the present birth? No. The answer is no. If anybody expand loving kindness and other human qualities, humanities towards all the living beings, those bad results or bad effects of bad deeds done by us could be evaded or erased or deleted. So therefore, that chance could be experienced by human being after developing those loving kindness, other humanities in this world. So therefore, in this Gata, in this verse included in Dhammapada, when we talk about the getting rid of or releasing from the worldliness, could be able to lead in the present birth very happy and peaceful life. And also in the following birth also, we will be born as human beings and remaining as the human beings in different birth, if we are not possible to attain Nibbana, the already developed humanities, good deeds, as the results of good deeds, could be continued into following birth, and finally they will be able to attain Nibbana. So I want to talk about the Panya also, the last line, to purify the mind. The mind should be kept purified always. Got rid of some corrupted thoughts. They are known as defilements. And some defilements are open and some are obscured, hidden. I think obscured or hidden defilements are called as asava, kamasava, bhavasava, ditthasava, avijjasava. Some sensual pleasures, actually they are hidden, they are obscured, not clear, but they also should be erased, should be eliminated. Bhavasava and wishing to becoming and re-becoming, that is also hidden or obscured and should be eliminated. Ditthasava and some dogmatic thoughts, some wrong views cultivated, associating with some bad friends, actually they also should be deleted and should be eliminated, eradicated. And avijjasava, ignorance, that is also completely, entirely should be eliminated or eradicated. So therefore here asavas also, when the asavas or defilements are eliminated completely, that should be done through development of our insight. There's a slight difference between Panya and also Vidassana Panya. Now usually in many suttas in Tripitaka, actually there are different connotations regarding the Panya. The basic meaning of Panya is the intuitive knowledge, understanding the impermanence of life, sorrowfulness of life, and soullessness of life, and experiencing them through one's own life, own body, and own mind. Actually, that is inferential understanding is the basic step to release from the worldliness. And secondly, when one developed insight, that is known as Vidassana Panya, Sachitta Paryodapanam, to purify the mind or vacating the mind from all the defilements, that is the path leading to Nibbana. That is the development of the insight. The insight development is should be fulfilled by a person after practicing meditation of Vidassana Bhavana, Vidassana meditation. That is the very specially introduced method of meditation by the Buddha. But some other meditational methods, Samatha Bhavana, that is the path leading to suppression of some defilements, have been introduced by some other saints also before the advent of the Buddha and also during the advent of the Buddha. But however, suppression or subduing some defilements is not the solution to release the mind from worldliness. Definitely we must develop the Vidassana Panya insight. So after developing the insight, Vidassana Panya, anybody can attain Nibbana. I think I like to enunciate some points regarding the Nibbana that is known as Ragakkaya, Dosakkaya, Mohakkaya. Eliminating all the lustful thoughts, that is known as Ragakkaya. Dosakkaya, eliminating all the hateful thoughts. And Mohakkaya, eliminating all the deluded thoughts. So when all these defilements erupted out of lust, hatred and delusion that is known as Nibbana. So I wish all the listeners, and especially the Seneviratna, family of Seneviratna, Bandar Seneviratna, and his family members, including all the human beings all over the world, may they will be able to attain Nibbana and understand the path leading to Nibbana after listening to my Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much. Sukhi Digayuko Bhava. May you live long in peace and happiness. I like to transfer merits to the dead and also to the celestial beings also traditionally. And when I am transferring merits to the dead, I like to explain it also within few minutes. Actually, in the process of transferring merits to the dead, I think Buddha has taught some teachings included in Janusoni Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya. If you read that sutta, that sermon, you can very clearly understand that we can transfer merits to those who are dead but not yet born. To all the human beings, sometimes if we have completed the human life, are not wishing merits. But however, when you are doing any meritorious deeds and you are transferring merits, usually, that is our duty. After worshipping the Buddha, offering flowers and also giving dana and many things. But after doing any meritorious deeds, you can transfer merits without regarding the distinctions. But however, definitely with reference to that sutta, those who are born as the human being, actually they are not wishing merits. And those who are born as the animals, actually they are not in a position to get merits removed from their miserable conditions, because they are not having potentialities to accrue merits or get merits. That's why Buddhism always, I think, encouraged to do good, to do wholesome actions. So therefore now, listening to this Dhamma sermon, I like to transfer merits to the dead. Firstly, Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita hontu ñātyo. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita hontu ñātyo. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita hontu ñātyo. At the same time, we are going to transfer merits to the celestial beings, heavenly beings. Some are celestial, some are terrestrial. Now, the celestial beings who are having right views, they are known as Sammadittika Devata. Those who are having right views, actually they can get merits, the results of merits transferred by you. And after getting merits, accruing merits, they are bound to protect you. So therefore, I wish that may all the celestial beings will protect you. The family members of Bandara, Seneviratna, and all the human beings all over the world. Now we can transfer merits to the celestial and terrestrial beings. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu desanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රක්칸තු තං සදාති. Sukhi Digayuko Bhava. May you live long in peace and happiness.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Our most veneration goes to Most Venerable Waligepola Seelawansha Thero for the valuable insight taught to us with an insightful Dhamma sermon today. May you be well and happy always, and we wish you good health and strength to continue the great service to Buddha Shasana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Theruvan Saranai.